Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Moore here from San Francisco, where the Vikings tomorrow play the San Francisco 49ers for the divisional playoff game. Why am I sitting in front of an empty parking lot? Well, this was actually where Candlestick Park stood for many years for the San Francisco 49ers, their home. And while it's empty right now, the stadium was torn down a couple years ago, there were plenty of sounds coming from the stadium in 1987 when the Vikings were here. And I think that's the important thing as we correlate this year to that year. Much like that year, the Vikings came in as a heavy underdog in the wild card game, and they blew out a good Saints team then, a 12-3 Saints team, 44-10. And last week, they surprised the Saints when nobody thought the Vikings could win, and they won that game to get the opportunity to play the 49ers here in San Francisco. Back in 1987, the 49ers were heavily favored. They were the defending world champions. No one gave the Vikings a chance. In fact, only one broadcaster, Pete Axthelm of ESPN, even picked the Vikings to win this game. A little bit different this year. People are starting to believe, and some of the prognosticators are actually thinking that the Vikings will win. In order to do that, they need to follow the blueprint of this 1987 Vikings team. And what they did that day is what we preached all year long. They held the ball. Whenever the Vikings have held the ball for time of possession for 4 minutes or more, longer than their opposition, they have won every game since 2016. In the 1987 game, the Vikings held it for 7 minutes longer than the 49ers. That team was not known as a running team, but they eked out enough running between quarterback Wade Wilson, Allen Rice, Alfred Anderson, and Darren Nelson to keep the ball out of the 49ers' hands. The other thing that was important that year is equally important in 2019, 2020 now, is turnovers. And the Vikings won that war as well and really got things turned around when Reggie Rutland, later known as Najee Mustafa, picked off Joe Montana and went 45 yards for a touchdown to pretty much put the game out of reach. The other thing that was important that day was kicker Chuck Nelson, who had been off and on all year long as far as his accuracy, was 5 for 5 in field goals, and that was the difference. So again, you look at me behind me, you see Candlestick Park, and we want to channel that feeling that we had in 1987 and see if the Vikings can repeat history and beat the heavily favored San Francisco 49ers tomorrow at Levi Stadium. So for now, I will talk to you later. I am Tom Moore from San Francisco. This is Candlestick Park.